Students take a look at Latino history
and how to deal with stress. Stay tuned. TrojanVision News starts now.
From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network, Troy, Alabama's International University, this is TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision News for September 17th, 2015. I'm Samantha Charles.
And I'm Jordan Elliston. Thank you for joining us this evening. Troy University serves as an Alabama International University, and today in the library, students learned more about Latino history from an author who shared her journey to Alabama from Argentina. Courtney Chandler has the story.
The month of September is Hispanic Heritage Month, and the Troy University Library is holding different lectures and video presentations in honor of this month. Thursday, author Leela Weaver came and spoke to students about her book, Dark Room, a memoir in black and white.
I had this opportunity to do an academic project, and that I decided to do it about my immigration story and the things that we discovered and that we found in the U.S. when we came. So that led me to do some research to have a fuller understanding about especially the civil rights events that were occurring in that part of Alabama when I was a child.
Weaver's book is a part of an exhibit currently going on at the Rosa Parks Museum at Troy Montgomery's campus that tells her journey from her home country of Argentina to Alabama.
I was a kid, 5 years old, so I didn't have much choice about where my parents decided to go. We left Argentina in 1961. And came to the U.S., pardon me, and settled in the heart of Alabama, in the Black Belt region.
Weaver not only shared her journey to students, but she also told her experience while growing up during the 1960s civil rights movement and how her story captures the movement from a different perspective.
I think to realize that someone who comes with a fresh set of eyes a lot of times can see what maybe people who have gotten accustomed to this is the way that we do things, this is what society looks like in a certain location, and that when we travel and maybe we feel judgmental about the way that other cultures do things, that, well, it's, that's kind of the way that it goes.
Courtney Chandler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Dark Room exhibit will continue to be on display in the Rosa Parks Museum in Montgomery until October 15th, and the book can be purchased in Troy University's Barnes & Noble bookstore.
All this week, Trojan Outreach has been teaching students how to cope with stress. Yesterday, they handed out coping toolboxes on the quad. Troy University students learned more about coping with stress in a week-long project sponsored by Trojan Outreach and the Student Counseling Center.
So this week is all about stress relief and coping with your emotions. And so yesterday we had our art journals out here, and students can come by and journal, do a journal entry about whatever's stressing them out, or even something that makes them feel happy. And then you color a picture over it, turning something negative into something positive.
How to Deal Week presents a week filled with ideas, information, and strategies for how to deal with life in healthy ways. Students even had the chance to take home a coping toolbox. The boxes were filled with ideas and suggestions on how to deal with stress.
Today we had these things called coping toolboxes, and they had a bunch of little things in them to help students cope with their emotions or stress or anything like that. They had like a stress ball, little coloring book, stuff like that.
So we passed out a bunch of stress coping toolboxes is what they're called, and then we also did a coping cards are what they're referred to, and they just help people deal with stress in a healthy manner rather than taking it out on somebody else. They can go and look at some of the suggestions we have to give to them and just deal with it in a healthy way.
Tents were set up on the quad all week to help students with the challenges of life and to provide additional information about the services offered on Troy's campus.
Well, I think especially in our generation, we've seen a lot of kids that don't necessarily know how to deal with their emotions or don't even recognize them as an adult would once they come to college. And you're coming to college, you don't have that support system you do at home, and you need to learn to deal with things on your own.
This time in college is a time when you might lose your family or your support system, and so you might not have that big of a support group here. And so you have to learn to deal with a lot of things on your own.
If you or someone you know is dealing with stress, you can visit the Student Counseling Center for more information. Every 2 weeks, Troy University students get the chance to expand their horizons by discussing topics of national and international interest.
This week, the Talk of Troy focused on an organization that helps feed the hungry around the world. Haley Greathouse has the details.
When disaster strikes and crops are wiped out, how do countries survive? This is not a subject that most students think about, and that is the purpose of Talk of Troy, to bring light to issues that need awareness. This week, students discussed an organization that helps people in situations of injustice, poverty, and hunger.
Our presentation was basically introducing Oxfam America to Troy University, what they do, how they do it, why they do it. It was about also the Dodd-Frank Act, 1504, what they call is basically making the SEC make their payments in exchange with different countries, oil, mining, and gas companies transparent.
According to Oxfam America's website, over 20.7 million people around the world benefited from their programs in the past year. Tyler believes that poverty, hunger, and injustice are important issues and is in the process of establishing a group at Troy.
We have different type of events that we're going to do. We're going to do tabling sessions. It's basically an awareness and an advocacy type group. So we'll do different type of things like getting surveys signed, getting people to actually know what's going on, because you can do things like call your representative to make sure things are actually going on at the U.S. headquarters.
Oxfam is funded by donations, and they need people to spread the word about their cause and how to help them.
We're the manpower for Oxfam, us college students. So whatever campaigns that Oxfam has approached us with, we'll push it as far as we can and basically do whatever creative idea we can to get it there.
Haley Greathouse, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The next Talk of Troy will be Wednesday, September 30th at noon in Trojan Center 119.
And now taking a look at news from around the state. The Alabama legislature has approved a general fund budget and wrapped up a special session. Lawmakers gave final approval to a spending plan that they said will avoid spending reductions to critical state agencies such as Medicaid, prisons, and mental health. Governor Robert Bentley said he expects to sign the budget into law after reviewing it.
A probate judge has asked the Alabama Supreme Court for an order protecting him and other officials who refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Washington County Probate Judge Nick Williams requested the protective order. The action comes after Kentucky clerk Kim Davis was jailed for refusing to issue same-sex marriage licenses.
And the Bayfest Music Festival is coming to an end after a 20-year run. Bayfest President Robert Bostwick Jr. announced yesterday that the 3-day event was canceled after the board of directors saw a lack of support and interest. The 21st annual festival was scheduled to be held October 2nd through 4th in downtown Mobile.
Still to come on Troy TrojanVision News, one Troy football player will be a big part in the game plan this week. William McCarthy tells us who the player is in sports.
And General Motors is facing a hefty settlement. More on that after the break.
General Motors will pay big bucks after an investigation into faulty ignition switches. But will GM executives avoid prosecution? I'm Brian Webb in New York. That story's coming up.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Now, the latest in Trojan sports on Troy TrojanVision News.
The Trojan football team will travel to Madison to play against the Wisconsin Badgers this weekend, but they will be without a big part of their rushing attack as running back Jordan Chun looks to be out after an injury in the game against Charleston Southern. Ryan Renfro takes a look at the player who will probably be taking up some of the slack in the rushing attack.
Trojan fans are pretty used to hearing Burks or Chun when it comes to Troy's running attack, but a new name is getting a little more attention. Sophomore Andre Flakes.
Yeah, I think you're going to see his touches increase. He answered the bell, and I was excited to see him. You know, he cut that one against the grain, made a really good stick, and outran everybody to the end zone. And he's a guy that's capable of making plays, you know. And we don't have just a whole lot of really good one-on-one guys that can win in space, and he's one of them, and we're going to continue to give him more of a role offensively.
After an injury last week, Jordan Chun could be questionable for Saturday. Senior running back Brandon Burks talks about the impact that could have on the game plan.
Having Chun not in right now, or we don't know what's going to happen with him, sort of, you know, puts a little burden on me, because usually when I'm in the game or if I make a big run, Chun usually know when I'm tired. I don't have to say nothing. I ain't got to pat my head. Chun knows. We've been playing together for 3 years. So now it's sort of a thing on my mind. Now I gotta change something different.
Burke says he is confident in Flake's abilities and looks forward to learning more about his style of play.
Flakes is a great running back, and he made big plays Saturday. So now I gotta, bond with him more, sort of find out how he took the play. So I know when to get him when he's tired. He know when to get me.
Ryan Renfro, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
The Trojans will take on Wisconsin in Madison on Saturday at 2:30. The game will be televised on the Big Ten Network. Troy soccer is back in action with a trip to the Volunteer State this weekend. The Trojans will play Tennessee Tech on Friday and then travel to Nashville to play against Belmont on Sunday. The team has had a week off to rest and prepare for Sun Belt play, and head coach Jason Hamilton tells us what to expect out of a tough Golden Eagles team.
A tough opponent on Friday night, Tennessee Tech. I think they're undefeated in their last 4 games. They've had some big wins. They just tied Georgia State this past weekend. So, they're going to be a team who's gradually improving. And I think, second-year coach, I know Steve well up there. He does a good job with them. And, it's kind of how we were last year. Once you get a team who hasn't been successful for a couple years to learn how to win, they can be a very dangerous team. So, that's going to be a game at their home field. They've done well there this year. They're, on a little streak here. It's going to be a difficult game. They're going to come out. They're going to have that confidence and, feel confident going into the game. So we just have to come out and execute our game plan and hopefully come out on the winning end of it.
Once again, the Trojans are on the road to play against Tennessee Tech on Friday at 4 p.m. Then the Trojans travel to the Music City to play Belmont University in Nashville. And both men's and women's cross-country teams are in action this weekend when they travel to Gainesville, Florida to compete in the Mountain Dew Invitational hosted by the University of Florida. Both teams are coming off a second-place finish in last week's Azalea City Classic, and head coach Elliot Blount talks about how some of the runners are from the Sunshine State and will have some extra motivation at the meet.
So our freshmen will get, some of them are from Florida, so their parents will be there to get to see them compete, which is always nice. And, it's just always to get to kind of break the monotony of, just running here in sweet home Alabama. So, but it'll be good. We'll be able to mix it up with some SEC foes. And, I think South will be down there as well as, UTA maybe even stopping by. So it's a pretty good, well-contested meet, and hopefully we can, continue to progress.
Once again, the Trojans will travel to Florida to compete in the Mountain Dew Invitational on Saturday.